Hello, everyone. Welcome to our monthly webinar series. We are thrilled to have you with us today. My name is Starlin, and I'm an account manager with IFMA, joining you from Houston, Texas. Before we dive into today's presentation on how to leverage IFMA's resources to advance your career, we'd love to hear from you. Please take a moment to like, share, and please comment in the chat to let us know where you're joining from. We love to see where everyone is coming to us from. While you're getting settled in and sharing your location, I'd like to take this opportunity to go ahead and introduce everyone that will be joining me on the webinar today. I'm going to be having Kim Jackson, Gail Head, Josh Amos. He's going to be our special guest. Welcome, everybody.
Hi,
Kim,
Starla.
how are you today? If you'll go ahead and everyone just kind of take a moment and share a little bit about yourself while everyone is taking some time to get joined and sharing their location in the chat, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll kick us off. So Kim Jackson, and I'm the executive director here for business development. All that means is we look for ways to bring value to the facility management profession, and we're really excited about sharing our resources today. Gail, I see you next, so I'm just going to pass it to you.
Perfect. Yes, I'm also an account manager here at IFMA on the PD team. And we're here to help answer any questions that you have about group training, individual training. That is our passion. Josh, I'll kick it over to you.
Josh, you've got the bingo. We got to get you unmuted.
Oh, there you go. So, thank you, Gail. I'm Joshua Amos. I was formerly a component liaison for the last 10 years, but now I am the engagement specialist. And I've been at IFMA 16 years overall.
Fantastic. We're so happy to have you guys with us today. Gail, do you want to go ahead and get us kicked off, telling just a little bit more about IFMA, and then we'll get started with how to leverage your resources with IFMA today.
Absolutely. So we are the International Facility Management Association. We've been doing this for over 40 years, so that kind of makes us the experts at what we're doing, what we're going to talk about today. We currently have 139 chapters, and we're in over 130 countries, and we're supported by our over 25,000 members. So today we wanted to kind of lean on members and membership benefits. One way that we're able to do that is having Josh with us so that he can kind of tell us a little bit more about what we can expect, right? Before we do that, our mission is to lead the future of the built environment to make the world a better place. And we rely on our FMs to be able to do this because you typically are in the driver's seat when it comes to your organization, making sure and maintaining your buildings, your spaces. It also aligns with our vision. We advance our collective knowledge, value, and growth for the FM professionals to perform at the highest level. And one way to do that is through networking and through training and development. So, Kim, you want to talk about what we're going to learn today?
Yeah, so we want to set the stage for today's webinar. And what you're going to learn are those benefits of IFMA membership and access to just invaluable resources. And we're going to highlight the benefits of membership, but I do want to say you don't have to be a member to find a lot of resources and information from IFMA. But hopefully you'll hear enough today to understand why we have more than 25,000 members. There's so much value of our local chapters providing mentorship and industry insights, really targeting different skills development, having opportunity for you to grow as a leader in your own personal career and your progression, and those networking opportunities so that you have more collaborative learning. I can't count the number of times people tell me, oh my gosh, I didn't know other people did what I do, because there may not be a large team at their facility and they feel like they're the lone person out there, but you're not. There's an amazing community that's here to support you. And so that's what we're going to cover in our webinar today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kim, for going over the overview. This slide here has a lot of words on it, and that's because there are a lot of benefits to becoming an IFMA member. So this is kind of the laundry list. It's going to show you all of them listed out, but we're going to go into some additional detail in each of these areas today. So let's go ahead and get that kicked off. Gail, Josh, would you like to go over some of our digital resources?
Sure. So for those of you who are current members, you know that you receive the wire each week on Tuesday. For those, you also receive the insider. The global version is sent out on Fridays, and your regional is going to be sent out on Mondays. The Knowledge Library is a great resource to find podcasts, white papers, webinars, anything that could help you with your current role. The Engage platform just got a recent facelift, so it looks really nice. Again, another way for you to connect with other FMs, whether it's in your region, whether it's global. All of these are going to be available for our members. Josh, you want to add anything else?
Sure. Real quick on the Knowledge Library, one of the great benefits of that is all the material within the Knowledge Library, or something we refer to as the KL, has been vetted by a panel of FMs, so that the content is current and applicable to you as the FM professional. So just know that even if you see an article that might be a few years old, it has still been vetted and still considered current. And also, the Engage platform is a great way if you have any questions or issues and you want to leverage the collective knowledge of your fellow IFMA members. You can, so message board, you can post there and you'll get some great responses. So I encourage you to use that as well.
And before we leave this slide, there's something we haven't touched on, which is benefit of the month. And that's going to be where there are unique opportunities provided to our members and only for our members. Josh, I don't know if there's any one of these that's your favorite, or if you might want to share some somewhere you get great feedback from the
Yeah,
membership.
right. Yeah, and that benefit of the month, it varies. Sometimes it is usually offered by a council or a community. It can be a webinar, it can be a research paper that they've written or an article. So it's great current content that you can explore and find out what that group is about.
So Josh cut out a little bit. I do want to share, Josh, you're joining us from Florida. There have been some challenges in that area, your specific area. I'm not kidding. Josh, you remain calm. I swear you embody facility management. I saw a video of Josh walking in his house in feet of water and things are floating. And he's like, well, this will pass. And thank you so much. I know you're dealing with a lot and we really value having you here joining us on the webinar.
Thank you. Hopefully the audio will be okay.
Before we leave this slide, Josh, what about IFMA Engage? We touched on it lightly. What do you see in the value for that platform for members?
Yes. So the great thing about Engage is you can leverage the knowledge of the collective of membership, because that's how all members either digest. So they'll see questions and they can respond with knowledge on how to handle different topics and questions you have about the profession or challenge you're facing. So it's a nice way to build an instant network if you don't already have that network in place.
Wonderful. Now I'm going to put my translator hat on because at some point you were speaking through a fan. Um, that's where you really get the collective knowledge and you can post questions there. I've seen it. There's wonderful questions, and you will have FM practitioners respond if you ask about a specific product. A lot of times, the person who knows that product really well, that that product or service provider can provide some additional insight. This is moderated, so it's not going to be a salesy platform. It is intended for communication. So definitely a huge value of being a member of IFMA. Thanks. Jack in the background, if you don't mind going to that next slide. Latest research and benchmarking, Josh, I think this is also an area that provides information. There are a number of reports. So IFMA does benchmarking, which is really helpful for facility managers if you want to see how your facility is performing based on others. It's broken out in region. We've also got a nice global benchmarking report that's done, but there's also research reports that come out, and it can be on emerging topics like the changing or navigating the technological landscape of FM. We know that that's changing a lot. There's a lot of information here. For membership, I believe, Josh, that the executive summaries for the benchmarking or research reports that are for sale, what we have executive summaries that we make available to our membership. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, they are able to get the executive summary. And also, if you participate in the surveys, you actually will get the reports. So, and get the benefit that way. So it's a way to encourage you to be involved. So the more people that are involved, if you get involved, the better the data will be. So as a member of this community, I really encourage you to partake in those surveys when you get them.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And the next slide. So career advancement, there's a couple of ways that you can get noticed. Sometimes there's so many great things that you may be doing individually or collectively. If you're a member of IFMA, your chapter or your community or your council, IFMA's Awards of Excellence is a good way to submit for that notice and to share best practices. So IFMA's Awards of Excellence are held at our IFMA's World Workplace Conference, which we just had a couple of weeks ago in San Antonio. And this is where we recognize those distinguished or accomplishments that distinguished members can make. So that's one way to, again, get recognized for what you're doing, the difference you're making in the FM community. The other one is IFMA Foundation, and there's a number of programs that the foundation has. They offer scholarships, really wanting to make FM the career of choice, which you see there built into their logo. And what that means is recognizing those degree programs, both 2-year and 4-year degree programs, as well as master programs in FM. We want to have people selecting FM and going into college when they come out of high school. So, and pursuing that FM career. Josh, anything here? I know you and I have been around IFMA for a long time. These are wonderful programs. Any additional insight or comments?
Yeah, like you said, one of the great programs is that the GWI, the Global Workforce Initiative, which is getting facility management known to high schoolers and colleges, to getting programs put in both at high school level and at community college level, and then onward to college. So getting involved with that and getting a program in your area is a great way to further the profession and get some big payback involvement in the profession and furthering it.
Thank you. Next slide, Jack. Thank you.
All righty. I'll hop in here on this one, Kim. So, last but definitely not least on our initial kind of list of benefits is training. So, Gail, myself, and an entire team are here to help support you guys in getting started on your training journey with IFMA. And our goal here is not to sell you something, it's to meet you where you are in your career, help you upskill and advance. So we have different levels, as you can see here on the slide, beginning with the essentials, which is a very high level overview. We have 2 different credentials that we offer that are certificate programs, which is the Facility Management Professional, or the FMP, and the Sustainability Facility Professional, or the SFP. And then at the very top there, last but certainly not least, is the Certified Facility Manager, or CFM. That is an exam and a certification. It's very different from the other 2 credentials I just mentioned. And that does have eligibility requirements associated. Now, we do talk a lot about these credentials in other webinars and other avenues, but we're happy to chat with you directly, especially if you're interested in hosting this at the chapter level. We do have IFMA qualified instructors that can come in and actually teach there at the chapter, and you can have folks come in and take these courses in person. So if this is something that you're interested in, please feel free to reach out to us at corporateconnections@ifma.org, and we are happy to provide you some more information on how to get started there. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail, I think, as well, Gail, if you wanted to kind of hop in and talk about how to become a member kind of on the chapter level and how we are able to coordinate those classes.
Perfect. Yes. So I know educational chairs are kind of a new position for our chapters. Thank you for stepping up and becoming an educational chair if that is your new role. We are here to work with you, as Starlin mentioned. Um, if you want to host a formal study group or a formal training, or you can have just regular study groups without an IFMA qualified instructor, we are here to help you figure out what that looks like for your chapter, your council, your community, so that we can again ensure that your members who are interested in training have their questions answered and then have a way to engage with other people or other FMs in their chapter counselor community.
Exactly. And I think what both Starlin and Gail are saying is why would you want to join a chapter? And part of it is because there's the opportunity to learn together. And, Gail, if you want to go into, there's some other items here on the slide about an individual. If y'all are watching us and you're not a member of IFMA, what would be in it for you? And what are those resources? So, Gail?
You get to have that mentorship. So again, as Josh mentioned and actually Kim, you also mentioned it too, for like the Engage platform. That's a way for you to engage globally, right? But if you're at a chapter, if you're a part of a chapter, then you're there in person. We also have our associate members, and you're thinking, oh gosh, now they're here to sell to me. Not necessarily. They're there to help provide services for the FMs, and they're there to, again, help you meet the challenges that you face sometimes. We've had some of our associate members actually join training, and they were able to meet their FMs at the challenges that they were facing because once they had gone through the training, they better understood what those were. And then they were able to see how they could apply whatever it was that they do, whether they're selling a product or selling a job. They were able to meet that person. We actually had a conversation with an interior designer at World Workplace. We had lunch with her, and she mentioned again being an associate member has helped her better understand a lot of things that she just didn't really understand FM's face, even though FMs are her customers. So I think that um, joining a chapter is very beneficial.
Absolutely. And I want to ask Josh. Gail
Certainly.
mentioned associate membership. There's a whole ecosystem of individuals with various backgrounds that join IFMA. If you want to touch on that, who they might see when they join a chapter.
Exactly. So real quick, you might be saying, what is an associate member? Well, let's start there. An associate member is someone that actually sells goods and services to the facility manager. And we also, membership, we call them the professional member versus the associate member. So your associate members are selling those goods and services. And like Gail said, they're a great source of knowledge and are a resource because they help solve solutions. And that's kind of, as an associate member, to further your career in the chapter, that's how you have to view yourself. You're a solutions person. You are there to solve that solution and be that benefit and a source of knowledge to the professional member. Now, the types of people that come in on the professional side, they come in from just transitioning from a maintenance person all the way up to seeing multiple facilities across the country or even the world. And so it's a really broad spectrum as to who can be a member of that chapter and what they're seeking. But one of the benefits that the chapter provides is you get to make those connections. And as you move through your career and you make these connections and these friendships, because that's what a lot of IFMA membership ends up being, you do become friends with a lot of these people as you get involved on your chapter level. And you see them month after month at these meetings. As much as virtual is great, and we're doing this virtually, there's, as Kim said, we just came off World Workplace. There's still no match for that personal touch, that actual physical interaction with people and building those resources. And as Gail said, I just want to tag on, Engage is like a large version of kind of crowdsourcing knowledge. But here you actually get to build your personal network. And let's face it, from a professional point of view, most people get their next job from someone they know or a recommendation from someone they know. So that is another vital importance of why you need to be part of a chapter, because you know it will take your career. I've known a facility manager that has come back to me and told me that they've gotten a promotion because of their involvement, because they have, because they were teaching, etc. Their company saw that as, oh, this person is a real leader, this person has a lot of knowledge, we need to move them up. We can do that with this person. Therefore, they're more trustworthy, etc. So that personal involvement at the chapter level is invaluable.
I agree, and you kind of had the fan talk a little bit in there, but Josh, I think it
Oh,
came
sorry.
through. No, no, no. The majority of what you were saying came through, and I just want to emphasize career involvement. If you're Please look at facility management as a career. It's not just a specific job. Really will lead you to being able to meet what your personal objectives are in your own career journey. And it often is, we've all heard the phrase, it's not sometimes what you know, but who you know, and being able to make connections, to be known as, someone who meets their obligations and who displays those leadership qualities. They may say, I'd really like that person to be on my team, or to feel confident in saying, hey, I know you're looking for somebody. I'd like to introduce you to this person. He's part of our chapter, or she's part of our chapter. And those connections are made there. Um, so as you're looking at your career, make those connections. This is something sometimes, Josh, I get asked, well, are associations really still relevant? Because there's so much social media, there's ways to connect digitally or virtually. But a lot of what you just shared and what we're seeing here, those connections at a chapter level can really provide a community of support that you may not find if you're on LinkedIn or some other social media area.
Exactly.
Great. Let's go to the next slide. Speaking of those communities, Starlin?
Yes. So I just wanted to very briefly say, so on the chapter level, I know Josh mentioned, Engage is kind of a global level where you connect with FMs across the globe. And then we've got the chapter, which is geographically. And then now we also have communities. And Josh, I know you're going to go into a lot more detail on these, but it's definitely industry for your industry and peers that you would find that do the same sort of facility management that you're doing. So Josh, I'll go ahead and let you take it away and talk about our communities.
Certainly. And when it comes to councils and communities, I like to talk about them as a vertical and a horizontal. I think that visual kind of helps understand where they differ. So as communities, we view them as a horizontal because councils are industry specific, communities are areas of topics and things that people, regardless of where they can benefit. So information technology touches everybody. Workplace design, which is the workplace evolutionaries, all workplaces have to be designed. Operations, maintenance, health, and safety is a cornerstone of almost all facility management. So these are areas of knowledge and groups of people with that interest that you can network with, contact with, and learn from their educational resources that they offer in these very specific areas. And a lot of them to put out content throughout the year. And since these are virtual groups, so this is a way, if you don't have a chapter in your area, but you still want to connect with IFMA, a council or a community can also be a great way, or it's a way to delve into a very specific area of facility management that you're interested in.
Fantastic, Josh. And I know you mentioned council. So this is kind of a picture of our communities. And then Jack, if you'll go on to the next slide, this is the councils. So if you want to go into a little bit more depth, Josh, I know that
Yeah,
your
exactly.
the sound is kind of coming in and out. So I may hop in to help if it gets too choppy.
Thank you. I apologize, but thank you for your help. So yes, councils are very industry specific because there are things to these groups that are specific unto them that no one else does. Like who else has to worry about tea greens other than club facility managers and what it's like to deal with those facilities? You can learn from people you can connect directly with people in that profession. Airports, running an airport is like running a mini city. But how many of you deal with jet bridges and trying to repair jet bridges? And I have personal experience working with the airport council. That is such a great group, and they are willing to help everybody in that group. I knew someone, they were having jet bridge issues, they couldn't get a part, and they were in Florida, and someone in Salt Lake City said, "Oh, I have that part. Let me ship that out to you." Da, 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 da. So those kind of friendships, those kind of connections are in value in these industries, because if you work at an airport, only cities only have so many airports, and you're probably going to know who works in that airport in your area or at that country club. But this way, you can leverage and get to know people at other airports, and how do they handle this, and also different size places. How do they handle that? These various situations. So that's the beauty of the councils. It's a very specific field, but you can get a deep dive and connect with your peers on that level.
All right. What we're hearing a lot about, Josh, is the amount of networking that can happen, the
Hmm.
collective learning that can happen. And a lot that we see with our members are those opportunities for thought leadership. And a number of um, the information that IFMA gathers, we gather from those of you who are in facility management. It's not this group of people who are coming up and saying, "Oh, let's write an article," or let's think this is the most important aspect of being an FM. There's opportunities for you to volunteer as a content expert. We're constantly looking to see, people who can present sessions, who can review our content. We survey and we pull in information. We have competency models. We're looking for those who want to actively engage. Writing an article. I would also say an article, not just an article, because that might be a little bit longer and more of a commitment than you feel you're ready for. But what about a blog post? We've got FM Connected, and we look for great thought leadership from a variety of areas. Josh, you were just talking about all of the different communities and councils. So you see the depth and breadth of FM, and to be able to have information from somebody who does work at that country club, who understands like this was a significant challenge that we've overcome. Tell us about it. Be able to share that knowledge in a more broad sense. So you can submit content in a variety of those ways, and then even look to volunteer on a regional advisory board. Josh, again, with your experience in working with our membership, what are some of the ways that folks actually get started in doing this and sharing their thought leadership?
Exactly. Good question. That I go back to the local chapters in your local councils, because they're always looking for content and presentations. So it's a great way to start doing those presentations and building your presentation skills, which then also translates directly to work as well. And also for the associate members, like I said before, you are that solutions person. Don't think of yourself as a salesperson, you're a solutions person. And you can present your knowledge as well at these chapter and council events to give them tools that they can use in their day-to-day lives. And so I think that's a great way. Just starting on a panel discussion, so you're not carrying the full presentation, being on a panel. So when I was at the Florida Facility Summit, so all of our Florida chapters got together, there's 4 of them, plus the count. They got together and did all presentations all done by facility professionals. Facility professionals. Your peers from them. They want to know how you dealt with things. That will help you a leader. That will help you be recognized in someone's knowledge. That's a go-to person. How you build circles. There's all going back to the earlier presentation. There's the awards of excellence. We give awards for articles and things like that. So we encourage you to in those things, because that builds up your prestige within your profession, but also your company. You can go back and say, "Oh, I've done this and this. I presented this. I got this award. I become like associate member of the year, etc." And when your association for your field is recognizing you that way, your upper management will definitely take notice of that. So I think it professional benefits you're gaining from your knowledge.
Wonderful. And thank you,
Okay.
Josh. So just to kind of paraphrase and summarize a little bit, chapters will get together. There's opportunities to provide sessions. A lot of times they're looking to hear from FM practitioners. And at the chapter level, you're going to build your confidence and your abilities to be a leader. And that leadership is going to come out in your role at your organization. Let's face it, you haven't gone into the FM profession because you're comfortable being on a stage and presenting information. You're in it because you're a problem solver. You get in there, you figure out what's going on. You want to ensure people's safety and health as they're in a facility. There's so many different systems within a facility, and that's your comfort zone. But in order to grow yourself professionally, adding those other skill sets, that's where being a part of a professional association can help, because it does put those opportunities in front of you to be to speak, to share your knowledge, and that will also translate over into your day-to-day job and your role, and in order to grow your career. And that is where, having that thought leadership opportunity, you begin to articulate your value because you're sharing that thought leadership. And that's what we see a lot, even on the PD side, is as you add your knowledge, you need to be involved in making decisions. And to be able to do that, you need to feel comfortable in presenting information and putting it together in a way where you're creating a compelling case for why you need a new roof and you shouldn't just patch one more area, or why you need to modernize your building management system and get some automations in place. So it's really, there's a lot of great skill sets that you can gain. Josh, do you think I summarized you pretty well?
Very good, Kim. Thanks.
All right, excellent. Next slide, please.
All right. And so coming off of World Workplace, we actually just got back. I guess it's been a week and a half, but it was a whirlwind. It was an absolutely wonderful time in San Antonio. This is an annual event that we hold every single year in different places in the US. And next year, I believe it's Minneapolis. Is that correct, Kim? Yes. So next year it's going to be in Minneapolis. So we hope to see you there. We also have other events. There's Facility Fusion in the spring, which is a smaller, somewhat version of World Workplace. There's an expo as well as, I believe, educational sessions. And this is something that if you are looking to get involved at IFMA, that's another great event to attend. We have World Workplace Europe and Asia Pacific as well, who have been having annual events as well. So if you are in that part of the world and are interested in attending, we also have those events as well. Gail, we have some new events kind of that have just gotten started. Do you want to go into some detail on the events and chapters that have just gotten started?
Absolutely. So I'll let Josh expound a little bit more on the Global Africa World Workplace that they just held. But LATAM is an up and coming region. We're hoping to get some more movement in that region. And then, of course, the Middle East is also going to be a very popular area. And we're hoping to get, again, some more collaborative situations happening so that we can start including them also. So Josh, whenever we did our Global Africa World Workplace, was it last month or 2 months ago? It's pretty successful, right?
Yeah, I think it was about yes, it was about a month and a half ago, and it was tremendously successful. It was so successful. I was just talking to Samson at World Workplace. He came over, and I talking about the event here and how successful. He's like, people were asking after the event, so are we going to be doing this quarterly? And we're like, no, it'll hopefully annually. But it was so successful they wanted it 4 times a year at least. So they're just really hungry for great content in Africa. And Ghana was a great location, and they just did an amazing job with it. So we're just hoping to keep growing that area, as well as the Middle East. We now have a chapter over there as well in the UAE. So that was very, very exciting to finally get that done. Having worked on a previous attempt at getting a chapter established there, it is not easy. And so now we can just grow having events there, because there's lots of hunger and desire out there as well. Education, all these various things that IFMA has to offer is really hungry for it. Did you want me to talk about
Josh, what,
and what?
Josh, so sorry to interrupt. Maybe if we could have you turn off your video, maybe that will help with the audio because you're cutting out and we want to make sure people hear what you have to say.
Hopefully this will be better. So with LATAM, it's our Latin American effort, and so predominantly Spanish language. Obviously, Brazil speaks Portuguese, and we'll eventually move into that as well. But we are really focused on the Latin American market now. Moving in, we have a Mexico City chapter, et cetera, and we have a great staff member working with them as well, Valentina. And so we're looking to do great things and great virtual events and everything for people in Latin America. And I just want to go back to the Africa event was a smashing success in Ghana, and they won it multiple times a year. So hopefully you can hear me better.
We do. That helped clear up a number of audio issues. Thank you so much. These events are meant to help us gain additional members, but also provide knowledge and that sense of community into these different areas where FM is growing leaps and bounds, and the need for knowledge and the need for professional development and those professional networks is really incredible. And LATAM, Latin America, is coming along. Within the Middle East, we've got the IFMA Global Summit that's going to be happening. So hopefully we've whetted your appetite if you're in those areas to please come to ifma.org. And we've got information there on our website to learn more and to be a part of it. These are also going to be where you'll have your thought leadership opportunities. We look for great presentations. And so think about what you can contribute to the FM profession just by your knowledge and sharing that knowledge. So as we continue on to the next slide, we've got something special to share, Gail.
Yes, we are so excited. We actually offered this 2 years ago and we had a lot of success. So we wanted to, again, offer this to our components. It's going to be an opportunity for you to decide one person in your component who would be a great benefit for them to earn their SFP. And so we'll have a way for you to nominate them. You'll send in your nomination and we will get them enrolled. And then they will have 1 full year to complete and earn their SFP credential. If you have any questions about that, you can send them to corporateconnections@ifma.org.
So another great reason to become a member of IFMA, because I don't think we said this before, but you can join a chapter and a council and a community or 3 councils, 3 communities. There's a lot of flexibility. It just depends on your areas of interest. But each one of those networking groups or components is kind of that IFMA speak, will be able to nominate one of their members to receive this complimentary SFP enrollment. And that's IFMA's way of highlighting the importance of sustainability and the difference that FMs can make in making the world a better place. And so we did this a couple of years ago. It was a great success, and we're really happy to be bringing it back. But we wanted to share that these are just examples of resources that IFMA puts out in front of its membership.
Thanks so much for those details, Kim. So we are actually going to start wrapping up, and I've seen some really great questions coming through. And so if you have any additional questions for us or for Josh, he is still here, although you can't see his face. You can definitely please submit those in the chat while I go over your little gift for joining us today. We have a couple of special savings codes for you. So we have Fall into IFMA 50, which is $50 off any one of our core competency courses, which we have 7 of those. And then we also have the bundles, which you can have $100 off of that. Fall into IFMA 100 for the FMP, our facility management professional, the SFP, which we just talked about, the sustainability facility professional. And then we also have a core competency course bundle where all 7 of those courses are bundled together. So please scan the code there and take advantage of the special savings codes. These are going to be valid through the end of October. So with that, we are fixing to go ahead, and Kim, I'll let you kick off the Q&A session.
Okay, fantastic. There's some information there on the screen. The first one that I would like to get to is from Folahan. Um, the question says, we have noticed that some chapters are more active than others. And it's a great observation. So the question is, what can we do to make sure that all our local chapters are lively and that our members can make the most of networking and staying involved? Those are fantastic questions. And Josh, I'm going to toss that one to you.
Sure. Well, first off, part of it is you. You need to get involved and be part of it. Chapters sink or swim based on member involvement. So it's members getting involved are what will make the chapter successful in a lively place. So I encourage you to reach out to your local chapter, and you're a member of two chapters. So that's great. So I would reach out to them directly and say you want to be part of it and you want to help make it a great success. Clearly more thrivers. My new role is to work with some of those lower performing chapters to help bring them up to a high level of excellence and being lively as well. Get involved, because that actually being involved will make that chapter thrive. I really encourage that.
Okay, some of what Josh was sharing is that his role at IFMA is to work with those chapters who may be not as active or as lively and engaged as some other chapters. And all of our chapters and our councils and our communities are run by volunteers. And so that again is that opportunity to become a leader in your community and in that area. But volunteers, they have a lot of things that are pulling on their time. So the best way to ensure that that chapter becomes more lively, more engaged, is to help it become that way through your participation and your leadership in helping to create opportunities for that. Gail and Starlin touched on the fact that some chapters arrange for training opportunities, to put together an FMP group, or if you're wanting to gain your certification, your CFM, let's put together a working study group where you're preparing and cheering one another on as you get ready to sit for that exam. It's a big undertaking, but Folahan, I love the question. In fact, you've got a part two to that question, and I think it also has great questions. So you're asking, what mentorship program do we have for women in facilities management? For example, you recently moved from Africa to North America, and it would be beneficial to have a mentor. It is worth noting that I belong to two local chapters here. So that's, again, where the two chapters came from. Josh, let's see if we've got a better connection because I know you're going to have some great ideas for Folahan.
Well, yeah, let's hope. Hopefully, okay, you can hear me. Yes. So the thing about mentorship is it's a very organic thing. And so being part of that chapter, going to those meetings and making that connection with someone that has more experience, and then honestly having that conversation, it's like, I would love to kind of have you my mentor, have a couple of mentors. And I know you're kind of focused on women, and there's surprisingly a lot of chapters have a lot of active female members. So I don't think finding a female mentor will be a challenge, but also I wouldn't limit yourself to a female mentor because we have great members on both genders. So definitely don't limit yourself, and just who you connect with at that chapter, have that conversation with them. Most people will be tremendously flattered that you want to kind of carry on that relationship. And again, you don't have to limit yourself to just one mentor. So again, it just goes back to showing up, being active, and building that relationship and seeing who you click with and whose career you kind of want to model. And also, if you happen to see anyone that has an IFMA fellow at your meeting, those are our most premier, most experienced top members. It's a great, great honor to get that fellow designation because it's a very small percentage of our membership that we are allowed to grant that honor to. And so they have contributed greatly to the profession. So I would also keep your eye out for the IFMA fellows in your area and connect with them as well. And there's actually a fellows directory on Engage. If you go onto the directory, there's a general members directory, FMCC directory, and an IFMA fellow directory. And you can go on there and see who's an IFMA fellow in your area And I know a great majority of the fellows, and they're all great people, and I'm sure they would love to hear from you. And that goes to for everybody. Hopefully, you got that.
It came
Yes.
through beautifully. Yes. So Josh, as we're looking to see if there's some additional questions, and I'm going to be looking through here as well. What if you could give any advice, or when you do give advice about either joining, what should I join, or um, how can I advance my career? How can I work with people? What would be the Joshua advice that
Sure.
you would hand out?
Well, one, looking, first have to look inside. Like, what are you good at? What are your skills? And what skills do you want to improve? Because the chapter is a great bed for allowing you an easy place to fail. You know, it's like your world's not going to end if you try to do something and it's not tremendously successful at first. You have to build that muscle to improve. And the chapter can be a great supportive place to have that potential failure. I know it's a terrible kind of thing. I don't want to fail. Oh, you're never going to fail. The reality is you don't get good unless you fail first. So I think a chapter provides that great place to start that, because obviously we're not going to have you speak at Facility Fusion or World Workplace if you've never done a presentation before. So you have to start these somewhere, and that chapter is a great place to start and plug in to build that. But also just reach out to your chapter and say, hey, I'm a member. I want to get involved. I can allot this much time to you. What do you need from me? Or this is my area. How can you utilize me? Or if you're a very well connected FM or associate member, programs is a great place. They're always looking for content to present to their members. So if you have those connections to people and places that you can help other chapters help the chapter get, that's a great place. Membership chair is also a great place. Working on the membership committee, being part of that, just being a greeter, honestly,
Mhm.
just being a friendly face to other people at the chapter. So many people are so nervous and tentative, especially if they're new to an experience. And having just that person take them under their wings and introduce them to other people so that they feel comfortable and welcome. So that when they come back, it's like, oh, there's a familiar face. Oh, I talked to you. I might not remember your name yet, but I remember your face and I remember how you made me feel. That will go so far into help building the chapter and help building your experience, because the more you help people, the better off you'll be. Because my experience with IFMA is the most successful people are usually the kindest, most giving people. Whether you're thinking of like your Tina Schauses, your Ted Ritters, your Wayne Weitzel's, you're just amazing powerhouse members. They're the most generous people. So be that person.
I love it. There was a quote earlier, or a statement: "Get involved, you get out of IFMA what you put into IFMA." I think that's true in anything that you do. Thank you, Brent, for putting that in there. If you invest nothing, but you expect the world, I would challenge you to change that expectation. Put in what you're hoping to get out. If you want to be active and engaged, then you need to be active and engaged, right? You want that chapter experience, then you can be responsible for helping to create that experience. And it leads and it bleeds into other areas of your life. And I love your advice, Josh, about it's okay to fail. Nobody ever learned anything by succeeding. We all learn from making errors, or stumbling. And when you can do that in a safe place and build that skill set and then start being seen as a leader, then that comes in and it translates into all areas of where you're at. And gaining the confidence, we are here to help support in gaining knowledge. If you feel that there's a gap in your knowledge or a need to have a professional credential, that's why IFMA has this team that you see right now on your screen. We're here to help you through that. So please do reach out to us. I know that there was a question about wanting some information on certification. We're here to help you with that. We've given the gift that Starlin and Gail had mentioned, the different discount codes. We'll be sending you a follow-up email after this presentation. We're going to have those codes listed there. You're good for a week. But if you'd like to talk about what would be a good step, is it membership? Is it going for a professional credential? Please do reach out to IFMA and we will be happy to answer those questions and talk it through with you. Gail, Starlin, any final thoughts?
No, this has been an absolutely wonderful presentation, Josh. Thank you so very much for joining.
Oh,
See, now I'm the one with the audio issues. But I know there was some audio issues, but still your message came out very clear and very strong, that just how to get involved. And we really, really appreciate your insights. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We really enjoyed having you and seeing everyone's comments, where you're coming from, and great questions today. If you have any additional questions, as Kim mentioned, reach out to us at corporateconnections@ifma.org. If we can't answer your question, we'll get you to the right place. But thanks so much, everyone. You have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are.
Thank you, everyone.